We all know that asking questions in conversation is pretty important, but maybe you're not asking the right kind of questions. Well, let's talk about it. Hey up, mate, and cheers for finding this video today. I appreciate that. If you're new around here, my name is Dan. I'm a British English teacher, and my job is to help you feel confident when you're communicating in English. Now, today, we're talking all about asking questions in conversations because loads of English learners struggle to ask good questions that keep a conversation flowing. So today, I'm going to help you out with that. Let's have a look. Like I said, a big part of conversations is asking questions, but maybe you're just asking really crap questions. Have you ever thought about that? I know I ask a bunch of crap questions every now and then, but it's seriously though, it's something that if you're not very good at asking questions, it's going to end up hurting your conversations, right? So what is the problem? Well, the problem is that you might be asking the wrong kind of questions. Like in English, there's basically two kinds of questions. We've got open questions and closed questions. Like a closed question is a question that can be answered in yes or no. Like, do you like cats? Yes. Okay, end the conversation. You know what I mean? So yeah, maybe you're asking the wrong kind of questions, right? Another problem could be is that you just ask questions about random topics. And this happens with me. I'm a teacher, obviously, and sometimes with students when they're nervous, they kind of just ask questions at random. You know, they were like, oh, what did you do last weekend? Well, last weekend, I went to the park. Oh, that's nice. What's your favorite color? Whoa. All right. You know, just completely random questions with no connection between them. It's a bit weird. So if you're doing that, definitely don't do that because that's not good. And the other thing that people do is they kind of panic and then they'll just ask like a million questions because they don't know what to do. And it feels like, you know, when you see like police shows and they're asking they're asking about a million questions. Where were you? Where were you on this day? What were you doing? Why were you there? It can feel like that. It's like, bloody hell, it's not an interview, mate. It's a conversation. It's a two-way street, not just you asking me a million questions and me answering them. Like, it's a bit weird, isn't it? So these are common problems that people have when it comes to questions. Either they ask the wrong kind, they ask unrelated questions, or they ask way too many of them. Now, if you do this, you're going to maybe make people feel a bit weird. Like, I don't know, if somebody asks me too many questions that are not connected, just like random choice, and I don't know, I start to just feel like, are you actually listening to me, mate? Or are you just, while I'm talking, you're just thinking about whatever next question you want to ask? You know, you're not actually listening to me, you're just preparing next question. And if that happens, I'm just like, yeah, I probably can't be asked with this conversation, so I'll just try and end it as quick as I can. That is no bueno, as we've discussed in Spanish. By the way, if you speak Spanish, is no bueno correct? Because I don't know. Anyway, so if you do that, you're going to make people feel weird. You'll also make yourself feel bad because if you're in conversations that keep going badly because you're asking the wrong kind of questions, and you're eventually going to start to feel like, oh, I'm really bad at conversations and I'm just shit at English, which is going to make you feel bad. Not cool. And yeah, if you do this, conversations are likely to die and you end up in that awkward silence that we don't like. So yeah, and that's not going to be fun, is it? So I don't know. Generally, we want to talk to people and not just make them feel weird. You know, they want it to be a positive experience for both people, not just one person feeling weird and the other person feeling like they're going to ask a million questions. So something to think about. Now, instead of that bad stuff, let's talk about what you should do instead. So the first thing I would recommend is stop asking so many closed questions and switch to open-ended questions, right? So a closed question, like I said, it can be answered with yes or no. But an open question, that gives the other person the ability to answer whatever they want. They can choose any words that they like and they can answer with them ones. So instead of like, do you like music? Yes, I do. End of conversation. However, if you ask me, Dan, what kind of music do you like? Well, I like 1980s pop polka. I don't even know if that's a real genre. But whatever, I could answer whatever I wanted, you know? So open-ended questions, very good for small talk. Closed questions, not so much. Okay? So that means you should probably ask more open-ended questions. The next thing you should do is go deeper with follow-up questions. FUQ. Hook. Follow-up questions, okay? So what I generally do, and what most people do, when they start a conversation, they start with surface level questions. They ask like, what, where, when, these kind of questions. When did you move here? And what do you do for work? And, where are you living these days? And, that kind of thing. And once you've got the surface level stuff and you found something interesting you want to talk about, start to go deeper on that topic by asking more serious questions with why and how, because that taps into the feeling and the reason, which is more likely that they're going to want to talk about it, So start with your basic question, then go deeper with your what and your why questions. Sorry, your how and your why questions. So that's a pretty good idea. Yeah, this is a big one. Ask questions related to the answer that they give you. Don't just, while they're talking, don't just be like, I'm going to think about the next question I'm going to ask them. No, listen to what they're saying and then ask them a question about that. So, for example, maybe like you ask me, Dan, what did you do last weekend? And I'm like, well, I went hiking last weekend. It was really lovely. And you say, that's nice. What do you do for work? Like, mate, do you actually listen to what I'm saying? Like, do you give a shit at all about what I've just said? Probably not. That's proper stupid. If we're talking about my hiking trip, ask about the bloody hiking trip. Well, that's nice. Where did you go hiking? Well, that seems a bit more reasonable, doesn't it, than completely changing the topic at breakneck speed. So yeah, always ask additional questions about the answers that they've just given you, right? And the last thing you should probably learn how to do is change the topic naturally. Like, we don't just want to go, from hiking to what do you do for work to what's your favorite color. Instead, you can find an adjacent topic to their answer. So let's say, for argument's sake, you say, Dan, what kind of food do you like? All right. And I say, well, my favorite kind of food is Italian food. And you want to change the topic. So Italian food. Okay. Maybe a good follow-up question to change the topic then. It'd be like, I've never been to Italy before. Have you been there before? And now we're talking about travel instead of food, right? So yeah, kind of get good at changing the topics, right? And like I said, all of these things can be practiced in conversation. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, the BritSpeak community, the BritSpeak mates, the BritSpeak hub, whatever, it's currently in transition. It gives you a way to practice with other people. And if you go for the VIP tier, there's conversation classes with me and other members. So it's a safe space to practice some of these skills. So yeah, maybe you should check that out. The link's in the description, as always. And now it's over to you. What is the most difficult thing? And now it's over to you. What is the most difficult part of asking questions in a conversation? Let me know in the comments and maybe I'll make a video about it in the future. But first, I want to make sure that the conversations that you're in don't end up in an awkward silence. So watch this video to make sure it doesn't happen to you.